Parkinson's disease is a neurological disorder that affects how the body moves. And so one will suffer from tremors in their arms or in their legs, as well as just a wide variety of issues. I'm Shardayova, and I'm the CEO of XEED. XEED is best described as a new rehabilitation or physical therapy experience.
We're turning therapy, we're turning Parkinson's on its head. So we're changing the way that we're approaching this problem. My name is Alfredo Muñiz, and I'm the CTO at XEED LLC.
First thing before wanting to jump into any product is you really want to identify a problem. And one of the things that we identified was this need in the movement disorder space for a solution that really helped people figure out what was going on with their day-to-day life.
The problem is that there isn't enough information. We know that certain drugs help, but we don't have a good way to quantify how that works. So what we're doing at XEED is we're reinventing the data that these people get. Because the physicians and therapists, they know what to look for, but they don't have the data that they need to evaluate whether this is a good therapy regimen, whether this is an excellent drug that people should be taking.
At the time, myself and my co-founder Alfredo, we were working in the realm of robotics. And specifically, the project that we were working on was a two-wheeled robot. It was going to be this all full application robot that could do anything. The thing about things that could do anything is that no one really wants anything that can do everything. They want a product that has one specific purpose. At the time, we were talking to our advisor who was like, hey, can you try and rip out some part of that robot and see if you can make a device that can be worn on the body and can track body movement? And we were like, oh yeah, we made that a long time ago.
I worked with Sade and Alfredo as a senior project advisor. I had posed this problem of using accelerometers to deal with things like movement disorders, and they decided to go forward with this as a venture. I think it's going to have a huge impact, and I mean, one of the things that is most important is that Sade and Alfredo have reached out to people, for example, physical therapists, to try to find out what do you need to know.
XEED is a series of wearables worn on the wrists and ankles, and paired with the software app and also the help of the physical therapists and the physicians, we really wanted to create a new way for people to tackle this problem.
How XEED can come into play in terms of helping people with Parkinson's disease is when people, for example, come in to see me for physical therapy, they're mindful of their movement. They have to be. They're here. They're working one-on-one with me. And we make great gains here. What we sometimes have difficulty with is carrying over those gains into the home environment. So what XEED can offer is bringing, in theory, therapy into the home. A patient has goals which they can achieve, which they can be modified, which I can see and monitor. It's more objective feedback to get them to their goals quicker or to maintain their goals for a longer period of time.
We try to test any iteration that we have as quickly as possible, and each one has changed for the better. The first one is a pretty big white box that was worn on the wrist. And what we got from that was just that, hey, this technology works. We will be able to take this information and backtrack it to map out the human body. Okay, how do we get this to be something that people would want to wear in public? So the big jump from the first iteration, Mark 1, to Mark 2, or second iteration, was distilling all the technology, all the sensors down into a very, very small PCB or printed circuit board. Some of the feedback we got was that sweat was a really big issue, that it wasn't robust enough to be able to protect against the sweat that was seeping through the wearable. Or someone would wear it for 4 days not realizing that the SD card was not working. These are fundamental issues that we cannot run a successful pilot program with.
Prototyping has gotten a lot better over the years. We're at a great time for someone to be able to make anything they want. It's getting better with the rise of 3D printing. It takes a little bit of time, but you're able to make anything you want in the really complex geometries.
When we thought of everything that we were doing for the Parkinson's community, and we knew we had an idea, what we didn't have was a solid business plan. And we worked with the Penn Center of Innovation to help fine-tune our company. And those helpful little tidbits of feedback to know at all points in time we need to make our materials as professional as possible. We need to brand everything. We need to make sure that we're always talking about the heart of our mission, why we're doing this, and actually push forward with being able to apply for the President's Innovation Prize and develop a portfolio that was strong enough to eventually win and give us the seed funding we now have to execute our business strategy.
All of our partners, the therapists, the physician, our advisors, they've all been from the Penn community. You just have so many resources because we're not the first and we won't be the last people to make a startup at Penn. The future of XEED, it could go in many directions. I think the way we want to take it is to start with Parkinson's, being recommended by the doctors. So that's where we really want to be. But eventually we want to expand. Stroke rehabilitation is a big one because when people have strokes, they lose some of their movement. People are becoming more aware that these students, the young people, are the future and that they can make a difference.